Hi, I'm Nikki.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
Hi, I'm Gab.
I'm Nina.
I'm Dane.
I'm Iza.
And we are the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council.
We believe in the power of youth to change the ending for our planet.
To inspire a new generation of leaders for today and tomorrow.
To solve the most pressing issues of our environment.
From our small actions in our own home
to our greatest ideas in our communities.
Together, we are dedicated to conserving nature in the Philippines and beyond.
We, the youth, have the voice and power to change the world.
And we need to stand and act together, now more than ever, for the Filipino people, to protect our land and our seas. We are the youth for the youth.
The Filipino youth for the environment.
I am protecting life on our planet.
Day by day, with every single thing I do.
I conserve the world's biggest forests.
I safeguard the rivers
and oceans.
I stand up for coral reefs,
rainforests,
tundras,
deserts,
and grasslands.
I work with communities in the Amazon,
the Arctic,
the Congo,
and the Himalayas.
I collaborate with the biggest companies on Earth
to make their processes and their products more sustainable.
I influence governments
to create policy that recognizes and respects
the importance of nature.
I give a voice to all animals who call Earth their home.
I'm protecting life on our planet.
But because I'm with WWF,
I am not doing it alone.
6,000 staff.
6 million members.
In over 100 countries.
For more than half a century.
Businesses,
foundations,
governments,
communities,
individuals,
and one iconic panda.
Together,
we are protecting life on our planet,
including our own.
Because together,
anything is possible.
Hi, I'm Iza, and I want a world of climate-smart cities. Cities are home to over half of the world's population and contribute to over 70% of all emissions. We live in cities, but unsustainable and poorly planned cities are destroying our shared home. Together, we can still make our cities planet-friendly. support green technologies, switch to green lifestyles, and lobby with your local government for more sustainable policies. Let us help our cities work in harmony with nature. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Gab Mejia, and I want a world where there's no extinction. I'm a conservation photographer and environmental storyteller, documenting and highlighting the stories of our critically endangered and endemic species in the Philippines, such as our beloved tamarao and the Philippine eagle, to give a voice to our amazing, unique, yet fragile wildlife. Animal populations have declined by 68% in half a century. Species are going extinct at an incredible rate. Soon, we will be at risk as well. We can stop this. We need to protect our ecosystems today so we can all share this world in the future. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Mina, and I want a world who sees are rich with life. I'm a marine biologist and I study the importance of our marine resources. 75% of Philippine fisheries are overfished. 33% of our reefs have disappeared in the past 20 years. We are destroying our seas, taking livelihood away from those who rely on them. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Day, and I want a world where everyone has access to clean water. I am currently involved in scientific researches in the protection and conservation of forest ecosystems. And with the help of environmental education, we want to engage communities in the protection and conservation of forest ecosystems and their forest resources. According to a scientific research, we lose about 21 million hectares of forest cover each year. Forests provide us with the water that we drink, and without our forests and watersheds, we have no access to clean water. By preventing deforestation, we protect our water supply, so let's protect our forest ecosystems so everyone has access to clean water. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
Hi, my name is Nikki,
And I want a world
that listens to the youth.
The youth sector has been steadily influencing how we view citizenship action and accountability this past few years. And now, more than ever, is the right time for them to be able to communicate with everyone how they view themselves as the future decision makers and caretakers of the planet.
This Earth Hour, I implore world leaders to listen to young people. There is so much passion going around and so many incredible ideas that can help us all make this world a more sustainable place to be.
How about you? What world do you want to live in?
Share with us your thoughts using the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature.
Speak up for nature today.
Dear fellow youth, our Earth, home to millions of different life species. We are but one of them. And yet, it is our actions that have wreaked the most havoc on this planet. All the benefits and advancements of our way of life have come at a high cost. Climate change is inextricably linked to some of the most pressing issues facing the human race. And it is only by using our voices that we have a fighting chance at a better future. Renowned naturalist and environmentalist Sir David Attenborough once said, "It's surely our responsibility to do everything within our power to create a planet that provides a home not just for us, but for all life on Earth." We, the WWF-Philippines' National Youth Council, want to call on the youth. We want to call on the other young people out there to lobby and urge our government to make stronger commitments to climate action and environmental protection, and to act on them. We call on all Filipinos to speak out and take action on behalf of all our environmental issues. The 21 million hectares of forest cut down each year, the 9.4 million tons of plastic that enter our oceans annually, the 5 million Filipino families that went hungry last year, and the millions of species that are no longer with us. Let us push for a green and sustainable future of reduced waste, zero extinction, and where our carbon footprint is halved. Let us be guided by science and reach out and listen to all stakeholders of Philippine society, most especially the least heard and the most vulnerable, because our voices can change the world. Let us work as one nation to meet our environmental commitments by the year 2030, in order to build a future where mankind lives in harmony with nature, with the millions of other species that call this planet their home. As conservationist and anthropologist Dr. Jane Goodall once said, "The least I can do is speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves." So let us come together and speak our truths. Yours, the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council. Ask yourself, what world do you want to live in? Speak up for nature. Hi, I'm Nikki.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
Hi, I'm Gab.
I'm Nina.
I'm Dane.
I'm Iza.
And we are the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council.
We believe in the power of youth to change the ending for our planet.
To inspire a new generation of leaders for today and tomorrow.
To solve the most pressing issues of our environment.
From our small actions in our own home
to our greatest ideas in our communities.
Together, we are dedicated to conserving nature in the Philippines and beyond.
We, the youth, have the voice and power to change the world.
And we need to stand and act together, now more than ever, for the Filipino people, to protect our land and our seas. We are the youth for the youth.
The Filipino youth for the environment.
I am protecting life on our planet.
Day by day, with every single thing I do.
I conserve the world's biggest forests.
I safeguard the rivers
and oceans.
I stand up for coral reefs,
rainforests,
tundras,
deserts,
and grasslands.
I work with communities in the Amazon,
the Arctic,
the Congo,
and the Himalayas.
I collaborate with the biggest companies on Earth
to make their processes and their products more sustainable.
I influence governments
to create policy that recognizes and respects
the importance of nature.
I give a voice to all animals who call Earth their home.
I'm protecting life on our planet. But because I'm with WWF,
I'm not doing it alone.
6,000 staff.
6 million members.
In over 100 countries.
For more than half a century.
Businesses,
foundations,
governments,
communities,
individuals,
and one iconic panda.
Together, we are protecting life on our planet,
including our own.
Because together,
anything is possible.
Hi, I'm Isa, and I want a world of climate-smart cities. Cities are home to over half of the world's population and contribute to over 70% of all emissions. We live in cities, but unsustainable and poorly planned cities are destroying our shared home. Together, we can still make our cities planet-friendly. Support green technologies, switch to green lifestyles, and lobby with your local government for more sustainable policies. Let us help our cities work in harmony with nature. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Gab Mejia, and I want a world where there's no extinction. I'm a conservation photographer and environmental storyteller, documenting and highlighting the stories of our critically endangered and endemic species in the Philippines, such as our beloved tamarau and the Philippine eagle, to give a voice to our amazing, unique, and fragile wildlife. Animal populations have declined by 68% in half a century. Species are going extinct at an incredible rate. Soon, we will be at risk as well. We can stop this. We need to protect our ecosystems today so we can all share this world in the future. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Mina, and I want a world whose seas are rich with life. I'm a marine biologist and I study the importance of our marine resources. 75% of Philippine fisheries are overfished. 33% of our reefs have disappeared in the past 20 years. We are destroying our seas, taking livelihood away from those who rely on them. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Dane, and I want a world where everyone has access to clean water. I am currently involved in scientific researches in the protection and conservation of forest ecosystems. And with the help of environmental education, we want to engage communities in the protection and conservation of forest ecosystems and their forest resources. According to a scientific research, we lose about 21 million hectares of forest cover each year. Forests provide us with the water that we drink, and without our forests and watersheds, we have no access to clean water. By preventing deforestation, we protect our water supply, so let's protect our forest ecosystems so everyone has access to clean water. How about you? What world do you want to live in? Use the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature and tell us what world you want to live in. Speak up for nature today.
Hi, I'm Kiana.
Hi, my name is Nikki,
and I want a world
that listens to the youth.
The youth sector has been steadily influencing how we view citizenship action and accountability this past few years. And now, more than ever, is the right time for them to be able to communicate with everyone how they view themselves as the future decision makers and caretakers of the planet.
This Earth Hour, I implore world leaders to listen to young people. There's so much passion going around and so many incredible ideas that can help us all make this world a more sustainable place to be.
How about you? What world do you want to live in?
Share with us your thoughts using the hashtag #SpeakUpForNature.
Speak up for nature today.
Dear fellow youth, our Earth, home to millions of different life species. We are but one of them. And yet, it is our actions that have wreaked the most havoc on this planet. All the benefits and advancements of our way of life have come at a high cost. Climate change is inextricably linked to some of the most pressing issues facing the human race. And it is only by using our voices that we have a fighting chance at a better future. Renowned naturalist and environmentalist Sir David Attenborough once said, "It's surely our responsibility to do everything within our power to create a planet that provides a home not just for us, but for all life on Earth." We, the WWF-Philippines' National Youth Council, want to call on the youth. We want to call on the other young people out there to lobby and urge our government to make stronger commitments to climate action and environmental protection, and to act on them. We call on all Filipinos to speak out and take action on behalf of all our environmental issues. The 21 million hectares of forest cut down each year, the 9.4 million tons of plastic that enter our oceans annually, the 5 million Filipino families that went hungry last year. and the millions of species that are no longer with us. Let us push for a green and sustainable future of reduced waste, zero extinction, and where our carbon footprint is halved. Let us be guided by science and reach out and listen to all stakeholders of Philippine society, most especially the least heard and the most vulnerable, because our voices can change the world. Let us work as one nation to meet our environmental commitments by the year 2030, in order to build a future where mankind lives in harmony with nature, with the millions of other species that call this planet their home. As conservationist and anthropologist Dr. Jane Goodall once said, "The least I can do is speak out for those who cannot speak for themselves." So let us come together and speak our truths. Yours, the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council. Ask yourself, what world do you want to live in? Speak up for nature.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your evening today with us. This is Gab Mejia.
And I'm Alan Lemense. We're from the WWF-Philippines National Youth Council, and we welcome you to the second episode of Conservation Conversation.
Conservation Conversation is the Worldwide Fund for Nature Philippines live stream series, which aims to encourage discourse on environmental conservation and active participation from the youth sector.
As the weight of environmental issues presses ever harder on humankind, it is important for new voices to be added to the discussion. And who else to better include than us, the youth?
Yeah, that's so true, Alan, the power of youth. And what better way to do so than by bringing together the conservation sector's sustainability champions to raise awareness on the most relevant environmental issues today.
But before we start with today's session, make sure that you also engage your friends and family by sharing our live stream. And let's do a quick location check with our audience today, Gab. To our viewers, kindly let us know where you're from by commenting on the comment section so that we can all give you a shout out.
Yeah, definitely share wherever you are from the Philippines. Thank you all so much for joining us today. For tonight's episode, we are putting sustainable energy systems on the center stage. Globally, the energy sector contributes a significant amount of greenhouse gases that accelerates climate change and global warming. Fortunately, innovative solutions are being developed at the moment, with key stakeholders pushing for renewable and sustainable energy systems. I know this sounds a little bit of big words, but we have invited various panelists to join us as we learn more about this very important issue.
That's right, Gab. And I know our audience who are from Bacoor, Cavite, Manila, Tandang Sora, Quezon City, Malate, Marikina, and all over the Philippines are so excited to learn more about this pressing topic. So let's introduce our panel for today's session. Our first panelist is a graduate of Masters of Science in Energy Engineering from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She currently works as an energy engineer at Green Solutions Incorporated, an energy consultancy firm specializing in energy audits, building simulation modeling, and green building certification. Let us all welcome Ms. Maxine Chan. Good evening, Miss Maxine.
Welcome,
Hi,
Maxine.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Off to our next panelist. Our second panelist is the head of growth and exploration of the Energy Development Corporation. He has over 26 years of experience in geothermal resource exploration, development, and management, and heads a team of geologists, geochemists, and physicists. As a seasoned professional, I'm excited, so excited to learn so much from him for today's session. Let's all welcome Sir Jeff Caranto. Hi, Sir Jeff.
Hi, good evening, Gab, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Sir Jeff, and good evening also. And last but definitely not the least is someone that I'm sure we're all already familiar with. An active WWF-Philippines ambassador for over 2 years, she actively advocates for sustainable lifestyle, renewable energy, and the protection of our natural resources through her own channels and her work outside of WWF, appearing often for online sessions with the United Nations and the Climate Change Commission. A talented scientist and physics professor who was crowned Miss Earth 2017. She is truly a wonderful part of our Panda family. Let us all welcome Miss Karen Ibasco.
Ooh, good
Hi,
evening, Miss
everyone.
Karen. Or should I call you
Hi.
Ate Karen since we're both part of the Panda family?
Thank you for having me here, and please do not call me Ate. I'm quite sure our age are very near with each other.
All right, so as mentioned by Gab earlier, key stakeholders around the globe have been working on innovative solutions and pushing for the complete rollout of renewable energy and sustainable energy systems. As the future stewards of the planet, we believe that heightened awareness on the subject matter will be very beneficial to the youth. That being said, we have prepared a set of questions for discussion for our panelists. Let's get the ball rolling, shall we? So to introduce to us what renewable energy is and sustainable energy system, we will have a brief presentation from Sir Jeff Caranto. Take it away, Sir Jeff.
Thanks, Alan. Let me just get the slides up. All right. Yes, there you go. So I hope you're all seeing my screen.
Yes, sir.
So let me just give you a brief background, brief introduction on renewable energy and geothermal energy in particular, because I work with Energy Development Corporation. So again, I'm Jeff Caranto. I head the growth, the exploration and growth division, the geosciences division, the Energy Development Corporation. I also concurrently have the position of the president of the National Geothermal Energy Association of the Philippines. And I also sit at the board of DREAM and of the Asia Pacific, Western Pacific branch of the International Geothermal Association. The reason why I mentioned those is because they are very important later on as I speak on how we are advocating and how we are pursuing geothermal energy and development in the Philippines. So let me introduce to you quickly EDC. Who is EDC? EDC is the largest renewable energy in the Philippines. We're 100% renewable. We basically have more than 1,400 of installed capacity, all from renewable energy, primarily from geothermal, from wind, solar, and hydro. So as far as geothermal is concerned, EDC contributes more than 60% of the total installed capacity in the Philippines. So the next slide shows the geothermal power plants in the Philippines and where these are located. So as most of you are probably aware, the Philippines is one of the top geothermal power producing countries. We used to be number 2. 2 years ago, we were number 2. Unfortunately, in 2018, we were surpassed by Indonesia. I'll show you why in a while, but as you can see, as far as geothermal is concerned, we have quite a number of power plants that are located all over the Philippines, from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And those in orange are the power plants, the power facilities that are owned by EDC. So as on the table on the left, you'd see that Indonesia has surpassed the Philippines by more than 100 megawatts, and they continue to do so because there continue to be development in Indonesia as far as geothermal is concerned. So moving on to the next slide, you'd see that geothermal has been steadily supplying reliable baseload power to the Philippine grid as far as the geothermal energy is concerned. As you see there back in the 80s, that was the first wave of energy development for geothermal, and then the 90s was the second wave. And then Ipirolo came in 2001. And it is at this time when the energy in the Philippines was privatized. And at the onset of the renewable energy law in 2008, you'd see that we still have not significantly increased power generation. Why is that so? Despite the fact that in the table below there are a lot of aggressive plans to develop more geothermal power from 2016 to 2020, but unfortunately only a few power plants have been added at that time. A lot of this can be contributed to some factors, which I will explain a little bit. After the RE law, a lot of the other RE resources, such as solar, wind, and biomass, have actually been added to the grid. In 2009, there are a lot of new players in the geothermal industry that came in, but unfortunately, no other power plants were added at that time, and very, very minimal power plants were added. So, if you take a look at the next slide, it shows the contribution of renewable energy to the energy mix as far as the Philippines is concerned. In 2019, geothermal contributed about 7.6%, and the others, solar, wind, hydro, have contributed a lot. But if you would see the diagram, a big part of that generation is coming from coal. So one factor why geothermal and other renewable energies have significantly have been reducing in terms of its energy mix is because a lot of the power plants that were added to the main grid for the last 5 years has been coming from coal. So right now, the total renewable energy contribution to the grid is about 29%, and this used to be higher, more than 30% back in 5 years ago. And some factors that contribute to these to why we have this lag in geothermal energy development is I can name 6 of these, but there may be some others. But these are the major contributing factors. Regulatory, for example, there's been some delays in the implementation of the RA mechanisms, lack of infrastructures, the resources, the geothermal resources have been very more and more difficult to develop and find. We have project economics issues. Short-term, right now we only have short-term power purchase agreements. We don't have those 20-year power contracts anymore. Permits have been a big issue, and of course, as you would probably know better, especially in the isolated areas, there's a lot of safety issues because this, especially the geothermal projects, are all located in isolated areas. So insurgency is a big factor. That's why the NGAP in the next slide shows some of the activities that the National Geothermal Association of the Philippines have been pursuing and advocating with the Department of Energy, in the Congress and in the Senate, and we have also been conducting our own activities to promote geothermal development, such as launching the first Philippine International Geothermal Conference back in 2019. And this was still a face-to-face activity that we did before the end of 2019, before we were all in this lockdown. We're also very active in the DREAM board. This is the developers of RE Energy for Advancement, an association of all renewable energy developers in the Philippines. As far as the government is concerned, in the next slide, you see that the Department of Energy has a very bold plans they have very ambitious plans. The next slide shows this plans. And it shows that by 2030, we're targeting about 35% of renewable energy share into the power mix. So right now, I mentioned earlier, we're about 29%. In about 8 years, we're targeting 35% renewable energy share. And the target is by 2040, we should be able to provide at least 50% of power coming from renewable energy. Of course, all of this plan started back in 2008 upon the passage of the renewable energy law. And I said earlier, some of this has been delayed, but it's good. It's a good thing that the DOE has been pushing some of this activities. One of those actually is the GEO and the RCOP, which I will be showing some videos of this later on. The next thing is that it's always good to look at these activities in terms of what can the renewable energy do in terms of providing clean and renewable power and making it affordable to us. Now, one of the mechanisms in the renewable energy law is that you have a choice. We as consumers have a choice on where to get our power. So I'm a consumer now, and I can choose to get my power from oil, from coal, or I can get it from an RE. And I just have to go to the department and to the developers and say, okay, I wanted to get power from you. And this is something that the department has been pushing and implementing. And in the next slide, it shows that the power utilities, the utilities that provides that distributes the power to our homes are actually obligated to get renewable energy, their power from renewable energy by about 1%, increasing from 2020 to about 2030. So they are obligated to get that power from RE, not just from other sources. So if they're obligated, then that means that wherever you are in the country, that renewable energy can contribute to the power requirement of your houses. So let me just show you two 30-minute videos of this advocacies of this activities by the Department of Energy. There you go. So, we have the power of choice, and some of us have the power, have actually a choice to get to where to get our power. So, it's good to always look at the opportunities that are available out there. We've been producing renewable energy in the Philippines for quite some time, and there are renewable energy companies, what we call green companies, that are providing all these renewable energy sources. EDC, for example, is one. If you can't find the renewable energy company to get your power from, you can actually also invest in them. You can patronize their products. One example, three of our examples are Coca-Cola, Bountifresh, and Unilever. These companies get their green energy from EDC, directly from EDC, because they chose to get to produce their products from 100% renewable energy. We can always also find our small ways to contribute to lowering our carbon footprint by doing several stuff, like minimizing the use of power sources, not utilizing some of the energy that we don't need, switching off power from electricities and those kinds of small contributions. Also, the next slide shows some of the activities that we have been doing in EDC, such that planting trees. If you choose to plant tree, for example, one tree absorbs about 48 pounds of carbon dioxide a year. That if you do that during your birthday, for example, so after 10 years, then you will have 10 trees. One thing that we usually we do nowadays also is that we shop a lot because online shopping are available, but it's also try to minimize our carbon footprint by making sure that we just buy things or stuff that we need. So I think that sums up my presentation, and my last slide shows some of the activities that EDC are doing as far as advocating renewable energy and making sure that we provide a greener future for the Philippines. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Gab.
All right, Sir Jeff, thank you very much. Even with that brief presentation, I'm sure our audience, including myself, have learned a lot already. But I just want to ask, sir, since your company is investing in or doing 100% renewable energy, what do you think are the reasons why there are more and more companies wanting renewable energy? What are its advantages, and why do we want to achieve it?
That's a good question. When we started renewable energy in the Philippines, it's more of a need than a want. There's a need because back in the 70s, we were basically importing a majority of our of oil that produces the energy that we need. And at that time, there's a need for us to produce more energy from indigenous sources. So, geothermal came in, and then hydro came in, because these are indigenous. A lot of the development after the renewable energy law came to pass is because also of the desire to have a cleaner environment. Having a renewable energy source basically provides environmental friendly source. It has less CO2 emission. It supports local employment and development. It's cheaper to operate in the long term, and obviously it's indigenous and it's renewable. It's renewable. So it saves a lot of money also from those imports that we have to get from either coal or from oil.
Thank you so much, Sir Jeff. Really, I think that's also an important thing to know how, you also mentioned a while ago in your presentation how, even reducing your consumption as a consumer also affects the way, renewable energy systems, and it really shows how interconnected everything is from our environmental issues. And, I'd like to actually, chime in also, please, Miss Maxine and Miss Karen, what do you think is the energy efficiency in a way? How do we actually know or where to get these renewable energy?
So what is energy efficiency? More about that.
Yeah, how can we actually conserve energy, or what is energy efficiency?
All right. So basically, energy efficiency in the technical sense would mean maximum output with minimum input, right? But what we know of it is reducing energy consumption, but it's also important to maintain the thermal comfort or the workplace standards, because if we just keep reducing energy use, but then let's say it jeopardizes our health and our well-being, it's not a sustainable approach as well. So actually, I agree with what Sir Jeff mentioned that since our energy mix is very fossil fuel dominant, so if we reduce power, like our energy consumption, we kind of also reduce carbon emissions as well, right? Um, I think though energy efficiency is I remember reading from I think an article from the IEA or the International Energy Agency that it should be the first fuel, no? Like in our mindset, like when we look at sustainable energy systems, we always think of renewables. And though renewables is very it's an important strategy and a component, no, we're referring to systems as a dynamic interplay of components, right? So it's like aside from the supply, we have to look into energy demand, and that's where energy efficiency comes in. So if those two components mesh, balance each other well, we can have a more sustainable energy system.
So wow, so it's not just really cutting down on energy. It has to really balance out with like what the Philippines need or like the demand of the Philippine consumers for energy. Very interesting, actually.
All right. And I think just for the information of everyone, our government recently passed the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. So we expect in the succeeding years that several policies will be implemented, especially in buildings. And I think Ms. Maxine is engaged in building green building certification. But I think, Ms. Karen, since you are an advocate of renewable energy, right? So what are the renewable energy sources that we can touch upon in the Philippines? I think Sir Jeff mentioned geothermal, but I'm sure we have lots of renewable energy sources in the Philippines. Can you share with us your insights about this?
Wow. Well, honestly, thank you for having me here. It is such an honor for me to be a part of this panel, honestly. But Sir Jeff already mentioned earlier what are the sources that we have, and their company also provides it. They have hydro, they have solar, they just focus more on geothermal. So they have the majority of that in their company. But we do have other sources. We also have biomass. So it's something that we have to learn to maximize. But then we need to understand that as individuals, it's not as easy as completely transitioning to it, based on one house. There's always the technical side of understanding how this energy comes from the source until the grid, and then it goes to your houses. But I believe there are also companies in which you can invest for solar and you can put it in your roof. But one thing that I really do understand is the need to transition to renewable energy. If I can share my journey to how I got here into the environmental journey of mine, it's as simple as I'm a physics graduate, but I'm not an environmental scientist. So I did my research. I joined Miss Earth and I wanted a platform to share my voice to people. And I wanted them to understand what I do. So I thought, hey, what's the first thing that people think about when they hear the word physics? And a lot of people think about momentum, acceleration, and angular momentum, which are actually correct. But for a physics graduate, the first thing that we think about is energy. And then I thought, how does climate change really happen? So I got into my research and understood that when you burn fossil fuel, such as fossil fuel, coal, oil, and natural gases, you actually emit so much carbon to the atmosphere. And I've learned that what is one thing that people have access to nowadays? It's electricity. And a lot of countries, such as the Philippines, still use majority coal plants, which is an example of fossil fuel. So once you use them, you still emit so much carbon to the atmosphere. And that's how I started my advocacy with conservation of energy and the embrace of renewable energy. But transitioning to renewable energy is not done overnight. It is something that we have to learn to transition to it. And of course, different stakeholders would come to play. It is not something that one corporation can only do, but work that everyone has to actually be on the same boat, especially our government as well. So it's something that we have to slowly transition and make people understand the importance of renewable energy. And at the same time, understanding the balance between economic growth and environmental sustainability.
Thanks so much, Ms. Karen. Really, really interesting thought on that. Like the green movement, the green energy movement, it's something that we should really apply and consider in the Philippines and even around, and of course, around the world. And, back before, actually, I remember reading a lot of articles as well on how, like, fossil fuels was the thing of the Industrial Revolution, and it showed like the real goods of it as well before. And now we realize how impactful it is actually to our climate and our planet. So in terms of like renewable energy, do you think like feel free for all the panelists to engage on this, like do you think what are the drawbacks of it? Like maybe now we say, oh, renewable energy is really the right thing, but suddenly maybe the next years or the things, the impacts for it, it's actually bad, or there are some negative consequences for it.
Can anyone chime in?
Yeah, sure.
All right, sure. So I guess one big thing I think with renewables, especially large-scale renewables, is the environmental impacts that entails. Like big projects would entail big environmental impacts. So like for geothermal, big hydro dams. So it's also important to note the environment. So like the forests that it may be jeopardizing, as well as the water ecosystems and the local communities in that are there. I think, let's say for solar energy, I think one big issue as well is the issue on land use. So it's like utility scale solar really uses up so much land, and it people can argue that it doesn't really produce as much energy as the land that it uses, right? So there's an issue on that. So aside from that, I think the life cycle of the entire process for renewables should be taken into account. So you have to look into the extraction of resources up to the disposal. So yep.
All right. So how about you, Sir Jeff?
Yeah, well, I agree with Maxine. There are some, there are always disadvantages into looking at other sources of energy, all sources of energy. But I think the important thing is we look at how to balance the negative versus the positive aspects of the energy that we're getting. For renewables, for example, one issue that we still have right now are intermittency, especially for solar and wind. It's not compared to geothermal, where you have continuously 24/7 base load source of energy and hydro. So that's that intermittency is still something that is being addressed right now. The use of battery is one thing that a solution that is being looked into, but still not a long-term solution as of today because of the high cost of batteries. There are some geographic limitations because renewable for solar and wind and geothermal, you have to look at places where there's high wind or there's high solar or there's source of heat for geothermal. So there's that limitation on the infrastructure into these areas. So that there's a geographic limitation. Security, as I mentioned earlier. And I think for now, for the Philippines, we still don't have yet large enough sources of renewable energy power to replace all the fossil fuels. So, but we're starting to build them. We just need to make sure that we continue to build them so that in the future, in the near future, we should have enough to be able to replace all of it. There are countries all in the world where they're already maybe 90%, 95% renewable energy. And a very small amount is coming from either other oil or coal. So it can be done. It has been done in other countries.
Yeah, so it's really not as easy as 1, 2, 3, right? Like all this renewable energy systems. So for our audience, if you have any questions in terms like intermittency, if you have more questions on these, you could always comment on the comment section in the live. And more than the technical aspects, right? All these terms of what renewable energy systems are, I think for someone who's watching here online and using a laptop or like in Zoom, especially during this pandemic, right? Like, what can I actually do or know about renewable energy?
Anyone can answer?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karen.
Sir. I think I would touch more on the conservation of energy. Since everyone's staying at home, And I'm quite sure your bills have skyrocketed since the lockdown. It's one thing that you need to understand, the importance of conservation of energy. It was mentioned earlier that a huge portion of the pie still uses coal power plants in the Philippines, and it would take some time for us to transition to renewable energy. So what you can do is start conserving. I know that you already know this. When you don't use your lights, turn them off. When you don't use your laptops, don't leave them on a standby mode. If you don't use your television, do not leave them on a standby mode. If you have devices that have phantom load, just unplug it because it still consumes electricity. So those are simple things that you and I can do. And it's very much doable because everyone is staying at home. So these are actually simple acts that when all done together, it has a huge effect. And this is one of the main reasons why we have the Earth Hour. The Earth Hour is an event from WWF and encourages people to participate with us, turning off your lights for 1 hour. But that's not what the event is all about. The event really invites people to understand the conservation of energy and to do Earth Hour every single hour because they really show the importance of doing things the right way and conserving your energy the right way.
Thank you, Miss Karen. Would anyone else want to add their thoughts?
May I add some?
Sure,
just adding on Miss Karen's sentiments, right? I think like it's very like right now, no, it's really hot, no. So one of the main energy consumers we have is the AC, the aircon, and then I think like it's also important to know that the building shell or the building envelope is also important. It also influences how much energy is being used to cool our rooms. I think I'll just add some tips, right? Actually, when you keep your set point, like the thermal value between 22 to 24, because usually we tend to overcool. We just put it at 80 and it's freezing, but then when you go outside,
that's in degrees Celsius, right?
Yeah, in Celsius, yes. It's like when we're inside, it's freezing, but then when you go outside, it's really hot. So the difference in temperature, paves the way for unwanted energy use. So those are one of the things, just to keep it at like 22 to 24 degrees. Also, I think aside from knowing energy efficient technologies, it's also important to know your lifestyle. Like if for example I'm a person who doesn't really use the aircon so much, I don't really need to invest in an inverter because I don't really use the AC more or less. But if you're a person who uses it like 8 hours a day, I think then you kind of have to weigh your options. I think aside from there's always context when it comes to energy efficient measures. Yeah.
All right. And just a tiny information for us who are planning to buy new appliances or to replace our appliances, be sure to check the efficiency rating. Usually my Energy Star na sticker or some kind of sticker in those appliances that tells you if it is energy efficient. How about you, Sir Jeff? Would you want to share your advice to everyone watching us who are in their homes right now? What can they do at the household or even at the work level?
Yeah, well, Alan, I'm honored to be surrounded by you guys because I'm probably I've been around 20 years more than most of you.
No, we're all youth here.
Yes, you know, when I was your age, we have no cell phones, we have no laptops, and we probably have very few, washing machines, for example. But as the country develops, as a country moves from a developing nation to a developed nation, we become more, technologically advanced, and we use a lot more of these technologies, and these technologies use a lot of power. So the more that we imbibe those, what Karen and Maxine said about being resourceful, being more conservative in the use of electricity, looking at the conservation of energy, the more that we can help everything around us, especially the environment. The more that we choose this the energy that powers our house, the better that we can help the environment. So like I said earlier, we have now a power of choice, right? The consumers have the power of choice. If I'm consuming more than 500 kilowatts as a big company, I can go buy electricity from whoever I want. Now, the DOE is already pursuing the GEOP, where more than one, if you are 100 kilowatt or more consumer, then you have the power to choose also where you get your power, and you can choose renewable energy because of the advantages that we've discussed earlier.
Thank you so much, Sir Jeff. So I think for anyone who still has questions, please feel free to comment again on the live stream. And I think for much of our audience, a lot of our audience are actually young, they're students, and for like Alan and I, we're the National Youth Council. How do you actually convey these messages in movement for us, like for Gen Zs or for young millennials to embody or embrace this new technology, this new energy systems? Or is there like any advice that you could give us?
Anyone can answer?
Yeah, Miss Karen.
I am still a part of the millennial. I told you our age are not far from each other. But honestly, the things that we do for people to be more aware, because in order for you to take action, you need to understand and to become aware. And the things that we do is to participate in talk like this, so people would understand more of what we talk about and what we do. So it's really understanding and sharing your knowledge to other people. And I'm very sure that a lot of youth are tuning in to us right now. And it's something that you need to understand and you need to embrace. And I can say on the practical side, but we have two experts here. We have Sir Jeff and Ma'am Maxine to give you all on the technical side of all this.
Miss Maxine, you have anything to share?
How do I share what I know, you mean?
Yeah, you're
I think Miss Maxine is also engaged in an NGO, right? Like where you go to ITA community. So I'm curious, how do you educate people who might not have the technical background about what RE or energy efficiency is?
Actually, I think what's important is really communication, right? It's like, I think the mentality usually when it comes to community work is more of we're trying to help each other, right? It's not like you're going there and I'll propose this and then it's gonna solve everything. I think what's really important is communication to see what they need, what we can do, like what based on what we know, what we can do to help them. But then, of course, they know themselves the best. So it's really important to keep an open mind and just sharing and doing discussions with regarding renewables and possible other sustainable efforts. I think when I started, actually, by the way, the project is called Project Liab. So I joined in 2018, but then it was actually started. It started, I think, a year earlier. So when I got in there, like they already had talks with the community. It's an ITA community in Mabalacat, Pampanga. So they actually the community is very receptive to renewables already. So it's just more of just linking the technicalities with what they are interested in. But I think for other communities, it may be a different story, right? But I think what's really important is to have open discussions and just to learn from each other, because they know things we don't. I mean, then we can always do knowledge sharing and push for holistic and inclusive, sustainable system. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Ms. Maxine. Especially as a connected world, if we really want, we need to really communicate as well. How about you, Sir Jeff? Do you have any message for the youth?
Well, like I said, Gab, I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here, to be talking to you guys. Renewable energy in itself, in the Philippines is still probably in its, in infancy stage. We're still toddler. Geothermal has been here for quite some time. It's been a mature technology, and one of the few in the world who are actually, experts on this, on the technologies. But for the other renewable energies, I mean, we're still just about starting. So, but we have planted the seeds and started the green revolution. My challenge to you, the youth, is to continue what we've started, sustain and nurture it, and to continue to grow renewable energy for a brighter and more regenerative future for the Philippines. It doesn't stop here. I mean, you've seen the graph of geothermal energy. We have not significantly developed for the last 10 years. Why is that? Maybe we should be doing more. You will be the future of the Philippines, and you will be the one moving all these activities that we've started forward.
Thank you so much, Sir Jeff, for that very inspiring message for us youth. Especially now, we have to do all that we can, embrace this new innovations and sustainable innovations, to really be an inclusive society as well. So thank you everyone actually for sharing your thoughts with us. That was a very interesting and important discussion. I've learned so much from this short but very fruitful discussion. And perhaps one of the most important lessons is just how important it is that we build back not just better but greener systems too.
All right. I think we also can ask Maxine and Miss Karen if they have their messages to the youth.
Maxine, you
go. Me? All right. So I guess I'm in line with energy efficiency. So what we can do, we can always start at home. Like what Miss Karen said, we can look at our appliances, see what we can conserve, understand what we can do to reduce our own consumption. But I think aside from an individual effort, it's also important to hold different bigger other stakeholders accountable that have more influence, like our government or other corporations, since they have the power, to reduce more of their greenhouse gas emissions. And when you look at it to a big scale, so it should be a synergy. We have our individual effort, but we should also be involved and hold accountable these stakeholders with more influence. So I think it's also important to be involved in the community and civil society organizations. Because honestly, I didn't really have that much exposure, like in high school or in all those things. But when I went to college, then I really tried to immerse myself and learn from different people, because that really helped me understand things more and what's going on in our society. And so I think that's also something, aside from our individual conservation efforts, just to be more involved in our communities, because energy, we use energy, every one of us does. So we all have our stories, so it's really important to learn, and hopefully together we can make a more sustainable energy society.
All right. How about you, Miss Karen? Any message for the youth?
To summarize everything, and my message for the youth will be, if you are passionate and you understand that your calling is in the science field, I would honestly encourage you to pursue the STEM field. But if ever that you are not passionate about sciences, you can still be on board by helping us, making people aware. You don't have to be in the science field for you to understand what it is to protect the planet, but it actually is applicable to all kinds of fields, because we are just in one planet. We are just in one home. So it's important for you to understand how to take good care of it. We always encourage people to come and participate with us. And I like what Sir Jeff said, that whatever they have started, your generation has to continue, because nothing will flourish if what they started, you will never continue. And what Ma'am Maxine said, that it's important for you to do your individual actions, and for you to always be aware and to participate in organizations and events such as this, for you to spread or increase your knowledge and to share it to other people. So I believe that as a part of WWF-Philippines, I would always say that I'm very honored to be here, and that we can make a difference if we do it together. As we say it in WWF-Philippines, we say it together, possible.
Now I feel so much pressure as a young young person.
Oh yeah, I would just want to add something. I was very fortunate enough that I represented the Philippines last 2019 in the United Nations in the headquarters in New York City. It was the Youth Climate Summit. And the youth in different parts of the world were in one area, and they really spoke so much of the planet, and I couldn't believe, as young as they are, they know so much, and they're very, very vocal, and you are a part of that group. So you have to continue that momentum and really spread knowledge and to really put it into action, so that whatever we started, whatever Sir Jeff started in their corporation, you would continue in your generation.
All right. Thank you, Miss Karen. And I would like to emphasize, right, the saying in WWF-Philippines, together, anything is possible. We need our governments to act on commitments they've made, businesses to take responsibility for their action, and each and every single one of us to do what we can do, even in our own little ways, to make the world a better place for all living things. Advocating for the full adoption of renewable and sustainable energy systems is definitely something that we can all benefit from.
So now we're actually going to open the floor for questions from our audience. I've been seeing the live, and there's a lot of young scientists and engineers starting to comment and ask questions on the comment section. So for our dear viewers, please feel free again to send in your questions through the comment section, and we'll do our best we can to answer those. In the interest of time, we will be accommodating 3 to 5 questions from you guys.
And it seems we have questions pouring already. We have the first one for Sir Jeff. In the Philippines, one of our audience has asked, how much % is renewable in our total energy capacity?
That's a good question. In the graph that I showed earlier, as of 2019, the end of 2019, we have about 29% of renewable energy coming from into the grid, into the energy mix. So that's about 29%. It used to be about 32, 33% about 10 years ago when we have less coal. But because of the development of new coal power plants in the last 5 years, mostly coal were added to the grid. The percentage of renewable energy has gone down. So yeah, it's about 29% now.
All right.
That's very, very unfortunate. But okay, super sad to know that there's actually more investments happening in coal and fossil fuels now. But for Miss Maxine, actually, is our renewable energy enough for our country? Is it already enough? Can we say it's enough?
Yeah, like I think, as I said earlier, I think renewables is a good strategy, right? But it's also important to pair that with energy efficiency measures, because when you reduce your energy consumption, I think that can actually address some issues with renewables, like, for example, its intermittency, or let's say its intermittency, or the limited capacity it has compared to other fossil fuels. Like if you reduce your energy consumption, there's less energy for renewables to offset. So it's actually easier to go towards low carbon, like in the perspective of a building. And I think even for electric vehicles in the future. Yeah. So I think it really should go hand in hand, renewables and energy efficiency.
All right. Thank you, Max. And just to add to that, in terms of renewable energy resources per se, we can say that even the energy coming from the sun is enough to power millions of Earth. However, the problem that we have right now is that technology to transform that solar energy into useful energy. So I would like to also reiterate what Ms. Karen said earlier, that for young people out here, there is much opportunity for you to be engaged in developing those types of technology so that we can harness the full potential of renewables. So speaking of Ms. Karen, there is also a question for you. What can young scientists do to support the advancement of RE in the Philippines?
Oh, I'm not much of a research person, but I would honestly encourage you to research more about that. Even though, I'm not in the research field, because I understand how research is so hard. but we do need research. And you know, if ever I get rich in the future, I am going to support researches because I understand how important it is and how significant it is for the advancement of technology. Even though I know that a lot of kids, students just hate research and hate doing their theses, but you gotta do it because it's one thing for us to understand and to widen our knowledge. I mean, it's coming from me. I did my research before. It was hard, but I learned so much. And for us to deepen our knowledge in the science field, research is a must. And it's such a vital thing for us to do. So I would really encourage you to do your part for young scientists to be in the field of research.
Following up to that answer, actually, Miss Karen, another question popped up that what could they start researching more, or what could they consider exploring to help make the future more sustainable, environmental friendly? Maybe they're looking for thesis topics. You know, it's this virtual online school.
That's why you come to us, huh? Well, actually, I am going to give the floor to Sir Jeff and to Ma'am Maxine because they are on the technical side, so they can give you topics that you can actually do.
All right, Sir Jeff, would you suggest any field or focus that you can advise to our young scientists?
Sorry, in terms of, I didn't get the question again. Sorry, in terms of focus, in terms of what?
To making the future more sustainable and environment friendly. Like what fields are currently not touched upon by scientists today?
Well, we haven't been developing a lot on wave energy. You know, the energy coming from the ocean. It's not yet there. There are experiments being done. I don't think it's being done actively in our country, but in other countries it's being done. But you know, there are a few companies who are advocating wave energy here in the Philippines, but ocean energy, but it's not yet there. The economic is not yet there. So that's one. I think we have yet also to look into the vast biomass sources in the country. And obviously geothermal has been lagging. We still have quite a lot of geothermal energy sources that I think we can look into. I saw a question here that asked, do you think geothermal energy alone could meet electricity needs? I don't think so, because unfortunately we have only limited geothermal resources in the country. Our peak demand right now is maybe 16,000 megawatts. We have close to 2,000 megawatts of installed geothermal energy, and we probably can still do additional 2,000 megawatts if we develop, including the low temperature system. So geothermal alone is not enough. We have to look at the other sources.
All right, and finally we have our last question for Miss Maxine. I don't know a lot of my friends joining this field of science. What can we, or what do you think can the government do to feasibly promote the importance of this field, I think RE and energy efficiency, and research in this country?
I would say, like, I think the laws are a good start, like the RE Act as well as the Energy Efficiency Act. Then I think, there should be more like of these types of forums to really talk about possible research topics and possible things we can look into, especially given our context. Because honestly, there's a lot of research going on in other countries, but then like here, I think we really have to push the research atmosphere, just to try to explore what we can do, because there's definitely much more we can do, and it starts with you. It starts with everyone. Like we have an idea, we can always try to talk about it, and it starts from there. Then just try to expand, and it could become a research topic, and eventually.
All right, and I think for the information of everyone, in the coming years, the government plans to have an energy research institute or some types. I think it would be the DOE's arm to focus more on research about RE and energy in general. But with that, we want to thank everyone who participated in our Q&A. Before we wrap up today's session, can we have here final messages from our speakers today? So who would want to start? Let's call on Sir Jeff muna.
Well, thank you, Gab, Alan. It's been a pleasure for me to, to convey whatever learnings that I have had for the last 49 years. The last 30 years, or last 26 years of that was in EDC. And if there's one thing that I've learned of throughout the years is that you don't stop learning, regardless of where you are in your life. You always continue to learn. So I don't call myself as an expert. I just if you say you're an expert and you stop learning. So my challenge to you also is to continue learning whatever small aspect of it is that you're interested in or what you're passionate about. Continue to learn. There's always something to learn out there.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jeff. How about you, Miss Maxine?
So I guess I would like to say thank you, Alan, Gab, and everyone here, our fellow panelists, you guys listening over there. Actually, that's one of the first few steps you can do. Always try to be open and learn and have discussions like this. Thank you also for providing us with the platform, because I think with this it's a more casual discussion in some sense, because sometimes we get intimidated, climate change is so abstract, or sustainability abstract. But then having discussions like this, and even so having discussions like this would really encourage us to kind of delve into these things more on the everyday. So thank you so much, and it really starts with you guys and with everyone. So let's work together towards a more sustainable community.
Thank you so much, Miss Maxine. What about you, Miss Karen?
Said my piece earlier, but I would want to reiterate again. I really want to thank you for inviting me here. This is actually my first time here in the National Youth Council of the WWF-Philippines, and I'm very grateful to be here. And wow, a lot of people as young as you are very knowledgeable in your field, and it amazes me because at your age, when I was your age, I couldn't remember that I really protected or loved the planet. I didn't. So it was late in my, wag ko na sabihin yung age, baka malaman. But in my 20s, I understand the importance of taking good care of the planet. So I really hope that this simple discussion have opened your eyes and opened your minds to the importance of really protecting and doing our part to help the planet. I hope that you would continue supporting WWF-Philippines and also other organizations that help protect the planet. Because with us, I can truly assure you that we're doing everything that we can to really help the planet and to share awareness to all people. So thank you so much for tuning in to us.
Thank you so much, Miss Karen, Sir Jeff, and Miss Maxine. I think in behalf of the audience, I believe you've inspired and empowered a lot of young scientists and a lot of the youth here. Maybe you don't know that they're gonna be shifting courses already to renewable energy or energy engineering, physics.
Please do.
Hopefully. But thank you so much again. We're so happy and we're so grateful that you're all here with us today. So this wraps up the second episode of Conservation Conversation, and I hope you guys can stay tuned for more exciting live streams with the National Youth Council in the months to come.
And we hope we were able to inspire everyone to pursue a more sustainable lifestyle as we work together in building a climate resilient future for everyone. This has been Alan Lemense.
And this has been Gab Mejia of the National Youth Council, now signing off. Thank you so much, everyone. Woo!